I opened an account with them. Gold is next to real estate. Gold is my biggest single holding. And I opened an account with them. And the reason I opened an account with them, the reason I joined the board is I really believe in this company. And the reason I opened the account is having an account with Monetary Metals is traditionally there's been a couple ways to own gold. One, you own bullion or you own coins. And that's basically, you're risk-free, you're very safe, you're on the left, there's no counterparty risk, it can't get inflated away, it can't get, all that stuff. And then on the other end, you own gold miners, which are very volatile. And, for years they didn't do anything. And this year they're having an incredible year, but they're in equity and they're much more volatile than your bullion that sits on the left side. Monetary Metals is a way to own gold and have it in between there. And people tell me all the time that gold is money. Well, this is a company that's actually using gold as money. And so I always tell people, if you believe gold is money and you want to try to reintroduce gold to the monetary system, having an account at Monetary Metals is the perfect way to do it. Now, is it as safe as just putting bullion in a vault somewhere? Probably not. And so you should definitely keep some gold in a vault somewhere. Is it as risky as owning some gold mining shares? No, probably not. It doesn't mean you shouldn't own gold mining shares. It just means there's another part of the capital stack that you can own some gold and you can earn a yield on it. So anyway, I encourage everybody to go to Monetary Metals. If you go to monetary-metals.com/Santiago, type in your name, you can get all kinds of information on them. And anyway, I recommend you do it. We'll go back to this though. And I apologize. This, I don't know why that title got kind of reformatted like that, but this is important. This is the process via which a sovereign debt crisis will eventually emerge. Now, I thought it would have happened by now and it hasn't. This is an example of how it can happen. And this is an example of how dollars and gold can rise together versus other fiat. It's an example of how interest rates can rise, bonds fall, gold goes up, da 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 da. So what I thought I would do here is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a report that we wrote, as part of our research service. We wrote this back in February for our premium subscribers. I would encourage anybody that's watching this and hasn't had a chance yet, go check out our research site, research.santiagocapital.com. There's a couple different levels there. But we write a lot of different stuff about what's going on in the world, capital markets, the intersection of capital markets, geopolitics, and the madness of crowds. And something that we've talked about doing, we're going to do a report on stable coins. I wanted to have it done this week. It's just been crazy with work and I haven't gotten to it. It's going to be probably the first or second week of of October. So, if you want to get that presentation and that report, you're going to need to be subscribed to one of our services. But we really think stable coins are they're not necessarily a game changer, but they can definitely turbocharge the game. And so that's coming. But what I want to do now is I want to bring up a report that we wrote. I got to remove this first. Hold on. A report that we wrote earlier this year about this exact issue. Now, we used to call our research Macro Alchemist. We recently rebranded that just to Santiago Capital Research to avoid any confusion. But this was a two-part report. I think each report was 25 or 30 pages. And it's about this whole process. It's literally about the slide that is going around this week, talking about how treasuries are losing global reserve status and that gold is rising, and the implications that has for markets. And so what I thought I would do is I'm just going to share a couple little pages here. Let me go through this really quickly because there was just a couple excerpts I wanted to talk about, because the problem is if U.S. treasuries lose value and interest rates rise, is that a problem for the United States? Yeah, it's a problem for the United States. The problem is it's a problem for everybody. And I'm going to explain a little bit why that is. But that's what this report really goes into a lot of detail on, and why U.S. interest rates going up and why U.S. having budget deficits and issues is a problem for the whole world, not just for the United States. But so here, the global consequences of rising U.S. interest rates. The issue is that all of global finance gets priced off of the U.S. Treasury. So if U.S. Treasury rates are going higher, then anybody looking for financing in the corporate world globally, their interest costs are going up as well. And it puts pressure on the rest. This is why the rest of the world in 2022, when the Fed was raising rates and the long end was going up with it, the reason that England went into crisis, Europe went into crisis, China went into crisis, and Japan went into crisis was because of higher rates and a stronger dollar. And part of the reason is as you know, as the dollar strengthens, it raises borrowing costs for countries with dollar denominated debt. There's more dollar denominated debt outside the United States than inside the United States that is owed by foreigners who don't have dollars than inside the United States. You know, there's $35 trillion that the United States owes. The rest of the world owes a lot more than that in dollars, in a currency that they can't print. And this is what we talked about. You know, this dynamic played out in 2022. You know, the collapse of the British pound, the devaluation of the Japanese yen, debt crisis in emerging markets, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Egypt. This is a direct result. That was a direct result of U.S. interest rates going higher. So if treasuries stop being bought by foreign central banks, and as a result, the price falls and the yield rises, this is an issue for the entire world. We have a couple different ways that you can subscribe to our research. If you go to research.santiagocapital.com, there's a couple different levels. There's our main level, which gives you access to a number of different reports. And then there's the premium version, which gives you access to even more reports, more in-depth reports. A couple times a month, we do a live Q&A, and you get access to basically everything we do.